Welcome to LMS, Department of Collegiate Education, Karnataka. We are in the third session of the play Pygmalion, written by G.B. Shaw, which is prescribed for third semester BSc, Bangalore University. Here in this session, we are going to continue with what we had looked in the previous session, that is the first act. The scene from My Fair Lady you can see in this slide. It is the adaptation of the drama Pygmalion, which was super hit at the times. Here you can see the image of Eliza Doolittle and Mr. Higgins. In this session, we are going to learn how the social hierarchy has been depicted, how the characters are obsessed with this class distinction, and also the plot of the play and how the story is taken in the next acts as such, and the characters are interwoven. Students are going to understand the plot and the setting of the play, the class distinction issue, which is highlighted, and also how the characters are interrelated. In this session, we're going to learn a little more about Mr. Higgins, a character. He's a robust and handsome 40-year-old bachelor. According to him, there is no relevance or usefulness of getting married. So he's a bachelor. And he was very enthusiastic, or rather crazy, for studying scientifically the language of an individual. He believes that he is kind hearted and considerate. On the contrary, he is not. He is little harsh and also seems to be bully, where he threatens and uses force uh, to control the others. Particularly, we can find how he controls Eliza Doolittle through his harsh words. He intends to change people from lower middle class accents to the members of the upper class. So he wanted to change the dialects which is spoken by the lower class, uh, molded or modified into the upper class dialect, which gets recognition as it's a upper class speech, or the words used, the way it is spoken. He also could analyze the accents and pinpoint where the person is from, the which place he hails from. So that is the efficacy that Mr. Higgins has, the command or the training or an experience which he has studying the accents, the phonetic aspects of individuals' utterances. He was shocked by the flower girl's speech or a dialect. She mutters, she fumbles, and she doesn't have any such kind of spontaneous, fluent language. She could not speak proper English. Her English seems to be breaking at the same time. She seems to be hysterical in terms of suddenly she starts speaking and she screams, she cries, and bursts out her feelings. By observing Eliza, he makes his mind to change her from the flower seller into the duchess. And observing this flower seller, even Colonel Pickering was there at that moment, along with Mr. Higgins. They had a bet. Mr. Higgins bets with Colonel Pickering, stating that he's going to change this flower girl into the Duchess in 6 months, in terms of the language, in terms of the social appearance of that girl. Colonel Pickering, as we already came to know, he's from India as he introduced himself to Mr. Higgins. He has traveled from India to see Higgins. He is an elderly, amiable soldier. He was somewhat considerate in terms of treating people from different strata of society. Particularly, we come to know how he considered Miss Higgins in somewhat compassionate way, rather treating her as a studying material. He offers to cover the expenses of the experiment as Eliza comes to learn or comes to study this accent. She does not have much money as Mr. Higgins expected. For that, Colonel Pickering offers help by bearing the expenses of tutoring Eliza by Mr. Higgins. Higgins can pass Eliza as a duchess in the garden party after 6 months. That is what the bet which was agreed upon by Mr. Higgins by taking money from Colonel Pickering. He is a gentleman, in fact, as I said. He treats Eliza with respect and helps to moderate Higgins' mistreatment of her, even though Mr. Higgins mistreats her and speaks little harsh, but Colonel Pickering is somewhat considerate, seems to be uh, compassionate towards Eliza Doolittle, as he already offers monetary help for studying at the same time in his treatment towards Miss Eliza. This comes to the end of this session, whereby we come to know how Mr. Higgins, Colonel Pickering, and also Eliza Doolittle come into this scene, as we know that both of them discuss about how they are going to turn flower seller into duchess, and also the financially Colonel Pickering helps her, and whereby we come to know how the characters are developing, and Mr. Higgins' attitude towards the lower strata of the society, the class distinctions in the British society, the prejudice they had towards the lower class, as always needed to be molded or changed from their reality. Their speech is not up to the mark. Their behavior have to be modified according to Mr. Higgins, which is the typical of the upper class attitude or perception towards the lower strata of the society, like Eliza and her father, who are going to be placed in a different strata. However, in the end of the play, we come to know the consequences of that. So, here I'm going to end this session with this note. Thank you for watching.